I found currants. I'm so excited. I love currants. These are growing out in our forest area just next to our house. And these leaves are very predominant here, that they can just show you what the leaf of a currant looks like. Keep in mind that currants generally grow 1 to 6 feet high. The leaves have 3 to 7 lobes on them. The foliage has a strong scent, so smell it. Flowers can vary with the species. Sometimes they're upright to drooping clusters, but these I really like the way these flowers look on these, because they're a little bit different color. They also help me to spot them, because so these are coming up. As the berries come, they'll go down, but they're spread out down that little branch that that the berries will be on. Currant fruits, when they come, which will be later in the summer, or end of July, beginning of August, usually, maybe a little bit later than that. Depends on how this summer is going. Currant fruits may be nibbled raw. You can use it as a trail snack when you're out walking, or you can cook it as a topping. It's wonderful on top of cereal or your hotcakes. They can also be added with sweeter berries, because these tend to be a little more acidic, in pies and in fruit leathers, and it makes a wonderful wine if you are interested in doing that with it. The flowers, I mentioned that they can be different colors. They can be white, pinkish, or greenish. The fruits themselves, the red currants tend to be smooth, but there are some, gooseberry is another form of this, and those have those little tiny prickly things on them. Currants can be blended with raspberries, apples, rose hips to make different preserves that you want, but one of my favorite things with currants is just a plain currant jelly. Enjoy your time walking around. Enjoy your time. Enjoy your time walking around Alaska and looking for the wonderful fruits and treats that edible versions may be. Dandelions are growing. This is wonderful, because before the flowers come out, I really actually like the leaves from dandelions. They can be eaten raw as well. Dandelion leaves tend to be a little bitter than some. Obviously, I'm not going to use this one that's got some wrinkles and stains on it. I want ones that look good and that are very young. I have brought along a device so that I can go underneath it and get out some of the roots as well. I want it before the leaves or the flowers come. Well, the leaves are fun, and you can do different things with those, which we'll talk about later when the flowers start coming. The leaves tend to have more of a flavor that we may enjoy when they're young. I'm taking this also from near a lawn. It's our lawn, and my husband will fertilize it and put out some pesticide things. Well, this is way before he's going to start doing that, because it would not be healthy afterwards. So I'm going to take these leaves inside and cook them as I would spinach. Just steaming it, or it can boil it and melt it down. If you do boil it, you may want to discard the water, or at least taste it first instead of keeping it, to make sure that you enjoy the flavor. So I've rinsed my dandelion leaves very thoroughly and taken them off of the roots that I had drawn in with them, and taken a little bit of the bottom part called the white heart. It's just below the bottom of the leaves, and cut those up. They're cleaned as well. Look as clean as I would like them to. I think I'll discard that one, because I want the very, very clean parts of it. Oh, it's beginning to get yellowed a little bit as it's sitting here. So I have water going. I'm going to put my leaves and my white heart part into the pot and cook them for a couple of minutes. Keep in mind that dandelions, as they grow older, may be more on the bitter side, so that's why I like the really young ones. That's why it's beginning of May here in Alaska, and I'm beginning to cook those down now. As you go through the summer, you can eat the buds and the flowers as well, but the leaves, but they get a little bit more on the bitter side. You can lessen that bitterness by steaming the greens in water and then draining it out and putting them in more water to continue cooking them. Sometimes it takes about 10 minutes before they're ready. Rather than plucking dandelion leaves, you may cut them about 1 inch below the surface of the ground, which is what I did with these, and that's why that tasty dandelion heart, which is what I'm talking about, and is in this particular pot, helps with. You need to stir this in so it has a chance to cook down. Of course, these leaves can be eaten raw as well. That works nicely too. The leaves actually could be used to make tea with, so you could blend them with the chopped dandelion greens, with nettle leaves and devil's club roots if you wanted to. Those, of course, are different topics. You might go to Janice Schofield's book on edible, it's called Discovering Wild Plants, Alaska, Western Canada, and the Northwest, and that will give you some ideas on how to use those leaves and use them as tea. But note that the leaves themselves, as I mentioned earlier, can be eaten raw in salads. We're steaming it right now, or rather cooking it down. You can put it in stews. That's another option. Another one that's kind of fun is cream cheese sandwiches, and you put some dandelion leaves on top of it, and that tastes really yummy too. So I'm just cooking these down, letting the water boil out, and when I'm ready to enjoy this for my lunch today, and I'm the only one home, then I will add a little bit of olive oil to it and a drop of apple cider vinegar. And I think it's going to be, I know it's going to be very yummy. Here's another, so the greens of dandelions are exceptionally high in vitamins A, B, and C, and also they carry minerals copper, phosphorus, potassium, iron, calcium, and magnesium. So because of their versatility and their exceptional nutrient content, dandelion greens are sometimes, and this is really interesting, but sometimes they're cultivated. That means they're grown separately. And for the mildest tasting leaves, the plants are blanched. And this can be done by covering the dandelions with flower pots. And then the dandelions raised in root cellars also have a really mild flavor. They don't have, when that green develops is when some of that bitterness comes forward. So keep it in mind. Later on in the summer, maybe I'll get a chance to pick some dandelion blossoms from safe areas, and we can make some dandelion jelly. That'll be a fun one to do. Okay, so my water is evaporating out. I'm going to pour in, as I mentioned, just a touch of oil and a sprinkle of vinegar. Of course, salt and pepper if you like that. And here's my wonderful snack for lunch today. I'm looking forward to enjoying it. Devil's Club. It's sprouting out, so you can tell that it's early spring. You can see all of those sharp, spiny points on the outside part of the stalk for the Devil's Club. Do not want to touch those. They're very spiny. But when it's first popping out, the sprouted heads, if it's soft and flexible, then this is edible and you can eat it raw. Or you can take it in and use it as a seasoner or a seasoning for some of the food that you are making. Take it off. Make sure that it's very flexible, because if it's stiff at all, do not eat it. It's not ready. It's beyond being consumable. It has a really good flavor, but it is a strong flavor. So take a little bite and see what you think. Generally, when you're using these, even if you use them for seasonings in a soup or a casserole or something like that, you're only going to use one, maybe less than one, because it does have a flavor that you taste it, make sure that it's good for you. Devil's Club will grow these wonderful leaves and have these red berries. They look like berries on them that are very pretty. I am not fond of going too close to them because of the spines on them. You do not want to eat those red flowers or berries, but they are fun to look at and view, and you can tell that I'm in the garden nearby our house, so I'm enjoying looking to see what's here and enjoying the taste of those that are edible. Of course, it's always a good idea before you taste these to rinse them, just in case a moose went by. The Devil's Club can grow really tall, up to 7 feet. Some of it's shorter, down to the ground, but most of it gets pretty big, and it fans out. If you want the roots, then be careful, of course, because the outside of these is really sharp. But once you can dig that out and pull up the root is very strong, and keep that in mind as you're collecting it. So just be prepared for that. These, remember again, I will say it one more time, only collect these sprouts if you want to try them when they are soft and pliable. If they're firm at all, do not eat them. Just enjoy what they look like. You can see these are already growing bigger. Have a great day. Look what I found out walking today. Fiddleheads. Fiddleheads are a food source from ferns of lady ostrich and shield fern. And in the spring we have these tightly coiled fiddleheads at the very top, which you can use. The fiddleheads should be served cooked. You have to cook them. A couple reasons. One is because if moose come by and water on them, we don't want to eat that. That's rather dangerous. But also because they have a vitamin B depleting enzyme inside, and we need to destroy that enzyme. So that's why heat is very important. Much safer to eat. So they have a flaky coating on the outside, which you can see. And that flaking coating needs to be taken off, otherwise it kind of gets stuck in our throat. We don't want that. So one way to do that is, as you pick it, then take it, brush it off with your fingers. Great way to just sit outside and enjoy the sunshine if it's a nice sunny day like today is. Or you can put them in a strainer, flush them repeatedly with water. And that one is a little harder to get all of those flaky things off the edge, but it works. Another way is to rub them briskly in a towel, and that's a great cleaning method. Ostrich fern fiddleheads considered to be great because of their really wonderful flavor, and they tend to not have as many of those fuzzy croziers on the outside of them. What do you do with this fiddlehead? Well, you can make a cream of fiddlehead soup. You could marinate the fiddleheads with some vinegar and pickling spice, maybe some sweetener, either molasses or honey, a little bit of pepper, some garlic, and a little onion powder. Yum. That's a nice way to marinate them. You could put fiddleheads on pizza after you've sauteed them, or not sauteed. You could saute them, but you can also just steam them or cook them for a little bit to do what you mentioned earlier. You can use them as a pot herb. In other words, that means cook them as you would other vegetables, and then just flavor them with some garlic butter, yum, or a cheese sauce. Oh, that's good too. Put them in casseroles, use them in stir fries, just different things that you can do with it. If you cook the chilled croziers, then you can, and then cook it and then chill it, then you can add it to spring salads. But it does have to be cooked first. Keep in mind, fiddleheads are high in iron, potassium, and vitamins A, B, and C. So if you're going to preserve them, put them in boiling water, the clean fiddleheads of course, for 1 minute, and then drain and transfer it into plastic containers or zip closing bags, and then pickle them. You could pickle them also, but then you want to freeze them and keep them for future use. You want them before that top bursts out. So about 8 inches tall is the tallest, and these are, let's see, about 7 inches right now. So it's time to pick them and enjoy them. Check in your area and see what's available. Have a great May day in Alaska. I came out this morning to check on my strawberries because they are coming back from winter. I'm so excited about that. And I spotted the fireweed beginning to come up. When fireweed is little, below 6 inches, this one's about 3 inches tall. It's a great time to start collecting it. You can enjoy the leaves itself raw in a salad, generally speaking with other leaves as well. And I like to use the stem and cook it like I would asparagus because I love asparagus. And then I like to season it with a little bit of butter and garlic. But you can season it however you prefer. So I'm collecting these and taking them in to enjoy.